France at war is what the president promised, and that's what's being delivered. Increased raids on ISIL targets in Syria, and the only French aircraft carrier, the Charles de Gaulle, is now in position to intensify the airstrikes. François Hollande finds his popularity rising after a week of national trauma with 130 lives lost in the Paris attacks. One poll says more than 90% support his actions so far. Right now, the people of France appear to be content with what their president is doing and saying. But the week ahead will probably be the most difficult in his presidency. He has to actually convince people that what he says and does is right. Once he was seen as a mild-mannered Mr. Grey sort of figure. Now he's following a hawkish path. But France can't go it alone. Hollande's first meeting this week will be with the UK Prime Minister. David Cameron is hoping to get enough support for parliamentary approval to extend British airstrikes on ISIL into Syria. And France isn't just looking for military support. It wants to bolster agreements to improve European intelligence cooperation and impose more border checks within the EU. On Tuesday, Hollande will leave Paris for Washington. He'll be after more military commitment in Syria from Barack Obama. The US president and his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, appeared to have broken some of the ice between them at the G20 meeting in Turkey earlier this month. There will be efforts for a grand military coalition to include Russia, and Hollande plans to head to Moscow later in the week in an effort to secure a deal with Putin. Not everyone back home, though, is confident about the endgame.
More bombs won't solve the conflict in the Middle East. Our military chief of staff, Pierre de Villiers, said that we won't win on the short term militarily against ISIL. It's about political and diplomatic solutions.
Hollande also plans to meet Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel. He'll no doubt consult her on the prospect of Putin being on board. But the Russian president, who's heavily committed to supporting Syria's President Bashar al-Assad with his own airstrikes, is going to want concessions. He's likely to want the lifting of sanctions for his action in Crimea and eastern Ukraine, and that may be too high a price to pay. Andrew Simmons, Al Jazeera, Paris.